when it kicks on.
That Wrestling Dude podcast.
That Wrestling Dude podcast. That Wrestling Dude podcast.
It's the best podcast in the entire world.
That Wrestling Dude podcast.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome everybody. It's me, that Wrestling Dude. And as you can tell, we are not alone. Joined us by a member of the Moment of Truth. He is Classic Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champ. He's Renegade Wrestling Entertainment Tag Team Champ. And he's a newly crowned Sadistic Wrestling Federation World Champ. Ladies and gentlemen, the Barker of Bizarre, Rika Wildlee, man, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I truly appreciate it. I know we've been waiting to get our things in line to make this podcast happen for quite some time, and I'm so glad that it's finally here. So
me too, man. Me too. Welcome again. So let's get right into it, man. I want to hear your origin story. Spare no details. How does the Barker Bizarre end up in wrestling?
Well, okay, I'll take you all the way back.
Please
so
do.
Starting when I was a kid. All right, so around 8 years old is when I found pro wrestling, or I would say pro wrestling found me. You know, I was a kid of the Attitude Era and just a hair before, around like the Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon era. You know what I mean? That epic ladder match that they had with the double intercontinental titles. That is what I can remember as one of the first matches that drew me into the product that we know and love. And ever since then, it is became, I want to say, a passion, but truly an obsession to learn everything I can about the pro wrestling world. And as I grew up and decided that I wanted to try to pursue myself in ring, I ended up having a kid at 17 years old, so it kind of got put on the back burner. You know, as much as I didn't want it to, real life took hold, and I had to do what I had to do. But fast forward a handful of years, I got married, and me and my wife was in Cancun, Mexico, and we were on our honeymoon, and I had just turned 30 years old. And I told her, we're sitting outside feeding the birds. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, real romantic setting, you know. And I tell her, I'm like, look, I'm 30 years old. I've always wanted to try this and do this. And if I don't do it now, I'm going to kick myself in the ass for the rest of my life. I'd rather try and fail than to have never tried at all. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And that was the initial step, I believe, because she looked at me and she knew nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean, she knew the Rock and Stone Cold. That's it. That's period about wrestling anything. Okay. She's a bookworm. She's one of those that, you know, she forgets the world exists. She'll stick her face in a book. But I told her, I was like, you know, wrestling is my passion. Wrestling is what has always been there since I can remember. So she said, look, if it's something that you genuinely think that you can pursue, even though you are 30 years old and most guys your age aren't looking to get beat up all the time, you know, it's kind of not a thing. I said, look, I want to at least give it a shot. And we talked about, I live in Louisiana, and we talked about moving to Houston because Dustin Rhodes had just opened Rhodes Wrestling Academy. Okay. And since it was around COVID, you know, and she looked at me, she said, I don't know about Houston. And what was crazy is I had two of my good buddies that I've known from my childhood on up, wrestling buddies. One messaged me, one called me on Facebook and was like, you know, a wrestling school just opened up about 30 minutes from where you live. And I'm like, dude, let me tell you something. If there was a wrestling school that opened up, I would be the first person to know about it. But come to find out, they were right. And one of the guys that had quit wrestling, he had traveled the world. Dapper Danny Davis, he was trained by Ivan Putski. He traveled the world, and once he retired from wrestling for a little while, he opened a motorcycle shop in the next big city up, Alexandria, Louisiana. And during COVID, that kind of slacked off, so he decided to go back to his roots and do what he loved and opened a wrestling school. And once I called him from Mexico, from Cancun, on Facebook, and me and 4 other guys was the first class to graduate from the UWE Wrestling Academy.
That's awesome. Shout out to your wife who didn't yell at you for ruining a romantic moment, talking about yourself and talking about what you wanted to do. And it's wild because so many people started wrestling around COVID. Like COVID changed people to that extent to what kind of like you got to go out there and do what you want because who knows what tomorrow's going to bring.
That's exactly right, brother. And you know, me and my wife, like I said, we have a black cat Labrador relationship. You know, she is very introverted. I am very extroverted. I could talk to a wall, and she don't want the world to know she exists. So, so when it comes down to it, and another crazy thing is her biggest fear is clowns. So that become a thing. But you know, once I kind of broke it down to her that out of everything that I've ever dealt with, all the ups and downs in life, the only constant that has ever been there is pro wrestling. You know, the only thing that never went away, the only thing that I truly cared about, never done anything to hurt me, was pro wrestling. And I couldn't fathom not giving it a shot. And once I really broke it down to her like that, she looked at me and with all sincerity and said, look, if it's something that you think you can pursue and want to do, I support you 110%. And I love her to death for that. You know, there's nothing that I could ever say about her enough to show how much it really meant to me for her to not only look at me at 30 years old and not go, okay, you're just trying to be a kid reliving his childhood, and go, I want you to do what you love. And that's how it happened. It's a true blessing, man. True blessing.
Awesome. Were you naturals the day one in the ring?
I'm going to say I was overzealous at first. I was just like any other. I reverted back to 14, 15 years old, getting in that ring. I was 90 to nothing. So my coach really had to tie me down more or less and slow me down because I was just super excited to actually be able to do it. I'm not going to say I was a natural in the ring by no means, but overall my charisma is what really drew everybody toward my style and my work and everything else. The wrestling came later, honestly. The gimmick, I was doing the gimmick 2 years prior to the wrestling happening because I was there's promo groups. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but there's promo groups on Facebook where people do like e-feds and stuff like that, where it's just promoting against each other, right?
Yeah.
And I was doing that as Rika, you know, and that's how once I joined the school and I told the trainer, Dapper Dan, this is the gimmick. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. He looked at me and was like, that's stupid. That's never going to get over. People are going to hate that. He's not, you know, he's old school. He's not a big fan of gimmick character gimmicks, you know. And I was like, well, I'm a firm believer in actions speak louder than words. So don't let me tell you, let me show you. And now, not to toot my own horn, but I'm one of the most over guys that's ever come out of that school, if not the most. Traveling the country all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's something different. That's what people dig, man. It's something different, something off the wall.
Absolutely. That's what we always kind of talk about is you can go out there and put on, you know, every kind of move, every kind of flip, everything off the top rope, but a guy in there goes in there with a character that's able to like grab the crowd, man. It's way easier than you know, it's more memorable. You always remember the character. You don't remember the guy in the ring that just does the moves.
I've said that since day one. You know, when I first joined, when I first started having matches, you know, professional matches and things like that, I didn't have a lot going for me other than the mask. The mask is LED, or not LED, but go in the dark, basically. And I went in and putting that over in front of the crowd and all that, I got home and I was like, well, what can I add to this to really make it stand out and not just be another doink or another, person who looks at it like there's a billion clowns out there, man. Clown gimmicks. And that's why I took the moniker the Barker and not the clown Rika Wildlee. I'm a carnival barker. Come one, come all, step right up. I'm a walking, talking history lesson, man. I come through that curtain and I show each and every person that has never understood the product that they know and love all started right here where I call home, and that's the carnival. Okay? Everything that we know about characters, everything that we know about the wrestling world, the predetermined outcomes, the outlandish matches, this, that, and the other, all started right here under the big top where I call home. So I get to portray that. I get to show the fans that are young and don't understand anything within the past 20 years, there's a whole in-depth history, a beautiful history of pro wrestling that people have forgotten about.
Yeah.
And like you said, man, walking through that curtain and giving them something to remember. I am billed from your town. Everywhere I go, I'm from your town. Why am I from your town? Because that's what a carnival does. It goes from town to town to town. So as I walk through the curtain and they go, Rika Wildlee, the Barker of the Bazaar, from your town, not only are they hearing that, but they're immediately hooked already. Boom, they're there. They're going, wait a minute, from my town. And then from that point on, they see the mask, they see the lights, they see all of that, and they're captivated by that. But they're also watching my mannerisms. They're watching my walk, my talk. They're watching the way I carry myself just to see if they know this guy behind the mask. Do I know him? Does he work at the local Walmart? Is he a guy that drives the bus? Just anybody. They're always trying to put those pieces together, but no matter what, they're involved.
Yeah.
And that's the hook, man.
Yeah.
That's the draw. So win, lose, or draw, man, I could have a great match, 5-star match, or I could go out there and completely stink up the place. But the fact of the matter is when they leave, regardless if they remember my name or not, they're going to be talking about that guy with the lights.
Yep. I mean, we got August Artois in the comments. He thinks everything's stupid, and he says, "Okay, that's fucking cool." So, see, you already won one dude over.
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I make all my own gear and all of that stuff. The only thing I didn't make was my boots and my mask. Everything else I made from scratch for one reason and one reason only, because no matter where I go, what I do, what wrestling company I go into, there'll never be anybody in the locker room that has the exact same gear as me. It's hard to be unique in a world full of weird,
Yeah. How'd you learn to make the gear? You just started messing around and trial by error?
Okay. So I've been into costume design and all of that kind of stuff since I was young, man. Like I used to make a bunch of gear for my friends and cosplay gear and Renaissance Fair gear and all kinds of different things, man. And as I got into the wrestling stuff and started trying to make my own thing to stand out, I kind of already taught myself how to sew. I taught myself how to hem. I taught myself how to do the prints and all that kind of stuff on the gear. So really all I had to do was piece it all together to kind of make it play into each other and make sense,
Yeah.
And then,
like you've been building towards this your whole life.
well, kind of so, man. And going to these different companies after I started branching out from the academy, after I graduated, because they run shows as well. After you graduate, they also run monthly shows. But once I started branching out, at first I was going to these companies and they were smaller and, they didn't really have a lot of flashy nothing, and at the time I wasn't rocking the lights. I had the top hat and the tailcoat and all that kind of stuff, the Barker gear. And as I started going to these different companies, my home company had the entranceway and the flashy lights and the smoke machine and all that kind of stuff. And as I started branching out to these other companies that didn't have that, I was like, instead of worrying about what they have, let me just be the light. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about what company has what when I am the light. So I just put it on, started rocking it, and now no matter where I went, honestly, it's people dig it and have begged me to try to make them stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Not that's pretty brilliant though, if you think about it. Because if you go to the shows, like you said, there's no lights, there's no nothing, it's just a ring in the middle of the thing, and that's about it. So to be able
Yeah,
to create your own light show, man, that's brilliant.
yeah, they dig
What
it,
do you,
man. And
yeah.
what's up?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, you know, going to these little shows, and a lot of these people spend the last little bit of small town venues, spend their last little bit of money to come here and be entertained. And if you're bringing them a random Joe Blow, a guy that works down the street and he throws on a pair of tights and he gets in there and he's just John Williams from down the street,
Yeah.
and I don't want you to not get something to remember from the night. I don't want you to be able to, the guy that you see, you're watching wrestling, I don't want you to be able to bump shoulders with him at Walmart. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I want to give you something. I want to give you something to talk about, something you can go, next show, man. You got to come. Bringing more people. You got to come see this guy. That's the whole vibe, bro.
That's smart, man. That's how you separate yourself from everyone.
Right.
So where did the name come from?
Well, honestly, okay. So in high school, I'm a huge D&D nerd, man. Love D&D. Always have, always will. And when I was in high school, right before I found out I was about to have a kid, I was going to welding classes, going to high school half a day and then welding classes the other half. And I was making throwing daggers in welding school.
Okay.
Okay. I'm a 90s kid, man. Ninjas all the way, right? So I end up taking these daggers home, and me and my buddy are sitting in my bedroom, and I'm throwing them against the wall, and they're ricocheting off the wall and sticking in the roof. And I got pretty damn good at it. I'm throwing them, and they're ricocheting and sticking in the roof. And he gave me the nickname Ricochet. And as he gave me the nickname Ricochet, it played over to my D&D character, and that always was my character's name was Ricochet. And my middle name is Lee. And originally I was going to be Rika the Wild Card Lee. But once I got into the pro wrestling business and started looking up how many dang wild cards there are out there on the indie scene, every other Tom is a wild card something. So I was like, you know what? How about Rika Wildlee? Wildly entertaining, wildly charismatic, wildly bright. Rika Wildlee. And that's how that played out, man.
Yeah, and it's unique too that you never hear that name from anyone before.
Right.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I've Googled it, and as far as I know, I'm the only one out there. So
I've never heard that name. So yeah, you definitely you're definitely in your own company with that name.
good deal.
What's been your favorite moment so far?
Well, I've had a bunch, and it's been a wild, trippy ride, and I've always been into this scene. But I got to perform at JCW at the Gathering of the Juggalos in front of 17,000 people.
Nice.
That right there is probably one of the most gut-wrenching reality check type moments in my life. Because I've always, like I said, I've always been into that scene, and I've always dreamed about working at JCW. But to get that opportunity and have got ICP playing over here on the stage, you got Madman Pondo and Necro Butcher, and all, and I'm getting to be a part of that. And I'm like, dude, it's so surreal. But
did you get sprayed with Fago?
what? Yeah, yes, sir.
Nice.
Sprayed with Fago and hit with popcorn, and they were throwing everything in that ring, bro.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What about what's the most unique venue you've wrestled in? Because I mean, coming from Louisiana and running through that territory, man, you must have been like barns or farms, or I'm sure a carnival here too.
A lot of bars, honestly.
Bars,
like bars, and you've got bars and like armories and stuff like that. That's the biggest building, and a couple churches, big church auditoriums and high schools and things like that. But as far as the venue goes, probably the Riverfront Center in Alexandria. Either that or the Center Texas Civic Center. It's that's like a big deal. WWE comes to that place and
Okay.
puts on shows. So to be able to wrestle in a place like that, and you're looking down, and there's benches and seats all around, just really, really put you in your mind, put you in a spot to where you're like, this is really happening.
Yeah.
Like not just wrestling at. We've all done the backyard bullshit, but it's like I'm not wrestling in front of 15 people no more.
Yeah.
This is a real deal thing, man.
Yeah. When you wrestle in front of 17,000 people, is that overwhelming, or is it like as soon as you go through that curtain, it's like fuck yeah?
Well, I was in a battle royal, so going and performing in front of that many people with some people that I met at the gathering that I've watched online, because when I first graduated from the school and started trying to pursue different companies and things, I went and followed God knows how many wrestlers and God knows how many companies just to see who was working where, how many people were showing up to these places, really, really doing my homework. I don't play video games. I don't even watch wrestling product. I really don't. My wife's not a wrestling fan. So when I'm home, if I'm not watching a TV show with her, I'm working on something of my own with my wrestling stuff, whether it's videos, promos, logos, gear, podcasts, whatever. I'm always working on my own stuff. I mean, I've got pretty much every social media, so it's a constant grind. And being able to get out on the JCW stage and wrestle these people that I've only saw online, that I've only seen their work through stuff I found on Facebook and this, that, and the other, it's crazy to me because I never thought I'd meet them in real life, let alone be slamming these dudes or vice versa.
Yeah. What's the craziest spot you've been involved in? Like I saw you did a swanton off the top of a cage.
That.
Was that the first time jumping from something that high?
That high, yes. Not from something, but from that high, yes. Because I've said this in previous podcasts, but I definitely should have got up there prior to the show just to see how high that cage was, because I didn't.
Yeah.
I just kind of did it in the moment. And by the time I got up there, I was like kind of second guessing it, but I was like, if I climb down from here, they're never going to let me live it down. So, do or die moment,
Yeah.
And,
I had another guy on who said the same exact thing. He said, I didn't go up there beforehand, and like same thought was as soon as I climbed up, I'm like, well, fuck, I can't climb down because then they're gonna get booed for stuff like that.
Right. And I mean, you'd be talked about for the rest of forever. You'd be that guy that climbed down off the cage, got up there, hyped the crowd up, and then
no.
But I did, man. I jumped off there and everything went smooth and it was beautifully done, and I couldn't have been happier. I've always wanted to do it since I, watched like Hardy's and snooker and all that. I've always wanted to do that, but I definitely should have checked it out beforehand.
Would you do it again?
In a heartbeat. Now that I know, oh man, that's usually the first, that's the hurdle, is doing it the first time, getting past that mental block,
Yeah.
But now that I know, I'd do it again.
Yeah. You ever done any deathmatch stuff, or would you?
I've done. I haven't done any like deathmatch stuff. Like I've done the light tubes. I've done chairs and tables, and like I got smashed with a glass picture frame and stuff like that. But as far as like thumbtacks and barbed wire and pencils and forks, and no, I'm not doing all that. Fuck that.
I don't believe you.
Dude, you know how many years, and I know people are all different, whatever, do you live your best life, but you know how many years that takes off your career each match? How many? It's not worth it to me. I'm not looking to, I'm 30 plus years, I'm 36 in November, and I'm not looking to go to WWE. I'm not looking to make it that big. My end game is to one day own my own wrestling school.
Nice.
But if I'm broken and can't walk because, or die in a death match, Did I really do what I wanted? Hell
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
You know, we're in a business of paying it forward. And how can you pay a positive forward by portraying the love of the business with nothing but blood and gore? Now, every
Yeah.
now and again, that's cool. Do you live your life? But you got people coming into the business and they're not going to take you serious if the only thing you're known for. Anybody can get hit with something.
Yeah.
It takes no skill to smash light tubes or barbed wire on somebody's face. But learning the art of pro wrestling, the technical side of it, the storytelling of this, do you want nothing but a bunch of shock and awe with ridiculous pops that's going to get forgot and buried by the end of the match? You took 47 light tubes at the first of this match. You slammed a guy at tax at the end. They don't remember the 46 light tubes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about storytelling. And in my personal opinion, not that this is a fact, but there is no storytelling with death matches. It's just go out there and whoever bleeds and gets the craziest bump. You know, it's
I think you got the gimmick so dialed in that you don't. Not that people that do death matches need that, but you don't need that. You know what I mean?
no. I mean, I've told. Matter of fact, I told a guy that this past weekend. I said, wrestling is one thing, and that's a product of paying it forward. Everything that we do in this business that we know and love is about paying it forward to the next guy. Yes, you're a champion right now, and that's amazing, and that's awesome. It looks great on the resume. Belt looks great on your shoulder or your waist. But the fact of the matter is, the only reason you're in the position you're in is to build prestige on the belt that you hold. So by the time the next guy comes up and wins it, it fucking means something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look,
So,
Danny Davison's still a little bit old school in you.
hey, I'm just saying that's bottom line, top tier. When it comes
Yeah.
down to everything that you're building toward, everything that your career and your resume, every match you have, every show you go to, every title you win, and all of that, you're building it not just for yourself to look great and be able to talk about when you're old, but the fact is you're building yourself up so one day when it's time to pass that torch, the guy that you put over and you put in the position that you've worked your whole career toward, it means something.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I want my own wrestling school one day. I'm not out there working to go to WWE, TNA, AEW. I'm not doing that. I'm doing one thing, and that's building my resume enough so that when I get older and I'm not wrestling as much as I am, I can pass this knowledge that I've gained through the matches I've had and open that door like Danny done for me onto the next group of guys. It's a business of paying it forward, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Forever
That's
and always.
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. How'd you link up with the Moment of Truth?
Well, actually, he found me on Instagram.
Okay.
He saw some of my stuff and kind of hit me up. Was like, "Hey, do you want to be part of this, man?" And I was like, "Hey, I'm all about help. Everything that we do, pushing ourselves as podcasts, as wrestlers, as artists, characters, whatever you call it. Everything is about help you, help me, help us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So most of us don't get paid good to do all this stuff. We do it because we love it.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to let me help you get exposure and you'll help me get exposure. And in the end, we've helped each other build a better product. Bottom line.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. That's what's 100% the reason why I do this is for that. Is to get back to you guys, give you guys a platform to get yourself out there, put yourself out there.
Yes, sir. And we appreciate it. We really do.
Man. Absolutely. I've been following you for a minute now, man. I mean, it's like 6 to 8 months. I actually started following you on TikTok first discovered you. But it seems like lately, man, you're taking on like a darker tone. And I think it's ever since the creation of the Family Affiliated. Am I wrong in saying that?
Well, it's not so much of a darker tone. It's more, the whole stick behind the Family Affiliated is this. Rika Wildlee is the Barker of the Bazaar. The Bazaar is the freak show. The freak show is the world that we know and love. Everybody is a freak in their own little way. Everybody has flaws. Most refuse to embrace it. Most refuse to acknowledge that they have flaws. They put a mask on their face to show the world that they're perfect. But the fact is, behind closed doors, we're all a bunch of imperfect perfections. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when it comes down to everything that the family affiliated represents, we're a bunch of freaks and look scary and look odd and look weird, but we're a bunch of guys showing you that everything that you know and love about the odd and weird, you can find by looking in the mirror. You know.
Dropping
So
them words of
maybe
wisdom.
have I may been a little bit darker once my brothers got by my side? Maybe. But it's still the same message at heart. You can be as bright as you want. You can be as dark as you want. But the image in the mirror remains the same. The flaws still exist behind those closed doors, whether you decide to embrace them or not. Embrace the bizarre. We're all humans at the freak show.
Damn poet. Who's the other two guys with you, family affiliated? Because they're half tag team champions with you, right?
Well, you've got Eighth and Sorrow. That is the one I'm tag team champions with in Oklahoma City at Renegade Wrestling Entertainment, and CCW in Alma, Arkansas, Fort Smith area, at Classic Championship Wrestling. That is Eighth and Sorrow, the keeper of the Ward of Sorrows. And I'm going to send you, I just actually made a full-length audio book of the family affiliated, explaining the characters and the in-depth backstory to each character and how they decided to end up in all of the freak show that we know and love. So I'll send that to you in a bit. But you got Eighth and Sorrow, the keeper of the Ward of Sorrows. You've got Gluttony, the big top butcher. One of my best friends, been best friends with him since I was about 14 years old, honestly. But then you've got Smoke the Reaper. And another one that is yet to be put out there, but she soon will be. And that is the Forgotten Flower, Raina Rose.
I need to check out that audiobook.
Yes, yes, yes. I promise you'll really dig it, man. You'll really dig it. It's something that I worked hard on because there's so many promoters out there. They do what most people do, and they see a bunch of scary, weird-looking gimmicks, and they don't look past that. But I'm a very big fan of not only characters, but characters with depth.
Yeah.
Don't give me, if I told you this is Superman, he's just Superman. Don't know why he's Superman. Don't know anything past that. He's just Superman, Spider-Man, whatever. If you didn't know, if he had no backstory, if there was no origin, there was no reason for him to be the way he is, then he would be bland. He wouldn't be interesting at all. But that's the way wrestling has become.
Yeah.
So I am telling everybody in the wrestling world and everybody that decides to do a character, no matter how they portray it, give your character a reason for being who he is or who she is or why they are the way they are. So by the time the story presents itself in the ring, you not only have the fans on the hook, you've got the promoters on the hook, you've got the other guys in the locker room on the hook. You're inspiring others without even realizing you're doing the work, you know?
You need to be put on some classes for these folks.
I'm just saying, man, that's the way I portrayed this whole gimmick, and I believe that that's the reason it is prospered the way it has.
Yeah.
That's the reason it's got over the way it has, is because it's more than just a guy in a mask. It's more than just a couple of guys in a mask. There's real history. Not only is being taught through the whole carnival and wrestling and all of that, but there is depth to each and every person that brings the family to light, that brings the carnival to light. It exposes everybody's flaws, whether they want to show the world or not. We're all a bunch of freaks. That's a fact. You're never going to change that. Paint a pretty picture, but it still doesn't change the fact that you're the artist. You know?
Yeah, no, the promos you put out, man, it conveys all that. It adds that depth to it. It's not just some, there's a lot of people out there that try to do, let's say, the freak characters like that. But like with your promos, like you said, it gives depth to the character. Like it gives life to it.
Hey, I'm one of those people that if you're going to be different in a world that has had everything done in it twice over, if you're going to try to stand out, We have the biggest, this generation of wrestling people, the wrestlers or whatever, have the biggest tool at their fingertips. Cell phones, computers, this, that, and the other. There is no reason, period, ever, for you to sit and cut a car promo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There is nothing, in my opinion. I don't care if you're a WWE guy. I don't care if you're an AEW guy. I don't care if you're the lowest guy on the indie scene. The fact is that is lazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's lazy.
Yeah.
I lose. I don't care, man. I lose a lot of respect for guys, no matter how big they are and how big their name is. I lose a lot of respect for guys that do stuff like that. I didn't have time. Did you take a shit today? You had time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
You
no,
had
absolutely.
time.
To me, it's just as bad as not cutting a promo for your match at all.
Look, if you love what you're doing and you care about the product you're presenting to the world and you care about the work that that the world is seeing of yours, then there is no not. There is only do.
Yeah.
You will either find a reason on why it will push you to do amazing things promo wise or wrestling wise or whatever, or you'll find a reason on why it won't. There is no not. There is only do.
You cut that out, put and tag everybody on there.
Just
Quit being
saying.
lazy, folks. Quit being lazy. And no one wants to see your promos while you're supposed to be a champion of a promotion. You're at work on your lunch break.
Yeah, that's so
Nobody wants to
cheesy.
see you in your damn Target t-shirt trying to act like you're a tough guy, cutting a promo.
I'm just saying, man, there's nothing that you can't do nowadays promo wise. There's no story you can't build. There's no place you can't go. There's no style. Like there's a guy that is at my local promotion and he does the cowboy gimmick, which I know has been done 1,000 times over. But the fact is, if you're going to cut a promo, and you're this gimmick and you're this character, then go get on a tractor. Go get by, go stand near a horse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not about what you do, it's about how you portray what you do. You know, you ain't got to even know how to ride a horse. You can never set foot on a tractor. But the fact is your character has.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dropping them words of wisdom for everybody. Let's sell some tickets for you. Let's see, this Saturday, June 7th, TNR Championship Wrestling's Locked and Loaded in Leechville, Arkansas. They're having like a crazy 6-man elimination. Are you in that?
Actually, I'm going to be going against I want to say the Untouchables again. We faced them twice. The first time, me and my partner, Ethan Sorrow, went against them, and it ended up being a time limit draw. Then we faced them again about a month ago, and we actually beat them. And unfortunately, they wasn't the tag team champions this time. But this time we're going back. It'll be me and Gluttony. Ethan has prior engagements, so it'll be me and Gluttony. Kind of got the free bird rule rocking, you know what I'm saying? Like anybody can team with anybody type situation. So we're going to go and face the Untouchables once again, and hopefully we'll finally be able to put that exclamation point on a story that is well overdue being told.
All right. See, June 14th, Fort Smith, Arkansas for Classic Championship Wrestling Summer Clash. You demanded a match, defend your CCW tag team titles against Omega. No DQ match. What's the beef with you guys?
Look. Okay, so CCW came back a few months back, and we done a show in Alma, Arkansas, and we defended our CCW tag team championships against the Psychotic Messengers, a very well-established tag team in the Arkansas and Oklahoma area. I was looking forward to this match. For months, I was looking forward to that match. And I didn't realize that there were two little punks sitting in the front row the whole damn show. Watching match by match by match, they watched until we won our match and we were out celebrating. And they decided to get in the ring while our backs are turned and hit me with a dang chair. Handcuffed Ethan to the ropes and beat me down senseless. I had no beef with Omega before, but they need to understand that we didn't become the alpha of CCW by just standing and watching little pipsqueaks like them run over tag teams and putting themselves in places they don't belong. So after talking to management and seeing as we know all too well about hardcore no DQ style matches, that's how we won those championships. We asked management, Omega versus the family affiliated in a no DQ match, and without hesitation they said, you got it. So now Omega has boxed himself in a spot that they can get out of. Facts.
To come to get that payback. Omega, you messed up. They messed up.
They'll know soon. I promise they'll know.
See, June 21st, Sadistic Wrestling Federation's Golden Summer Bash in Silsbee, Texas. You plan on defending that newly won championship there?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. You know, I've been looking to show this thing off all over the place. This is actually the first podcast that is that I've had it on. You know, I just wanted, but the fact, but I think this beautiful title needs to be paraded around everywhere. So the next couple of weekends, the next couple of shows that I have, they ask me, am I going to walk out with this title? You're damn straight. I'm going to walk out with this title. The world needs to see how hard Rika Wildlee has worked to gain such a strap as this. And I'm going to promise this, that when it comes to Silsbee, Texas, at SWF, no matter who I end up having to face, won't change the fact this isn't going anywhere.
It's a pretty title, too. It's missing some lights, though.
You know, I thought about that. Throwing some lights on it, you know, making it flashy as well.
Yeah. All right. June 22nd, North Texas Wrestling's Game Changer in Dallas. This is your first time going to NTW?
No, actually. I've been there once before. Smoke the Reaper, one of the family affiliated, had a match, a casket match, February 16th against Red River Brawler. And I actually kind of slid in under the ring, and Red River Brawler went to grab a shovel out from under the ring. And what did he get blinded by? The bright lights of the carnival. Stumbled on back. The casket ended up being a tad bit too small for the giant Red River Brawler. So they ended up changing it to the first ever casket style tables match, to where not only who put in the casket, but who was put through the casket first.
Okay.
And Brawler ended up losing. Did I have a hand in it? Potato.
You know where they got that casket from? I was always intrigued by casket matches, especially on the independent scene. Someone's a casket maker, or they just found one at a thrift store. Or...
I really don't know. It was it was like an old school wooden style cowboy casket, like just very plain Jane.
Yeah,
you know, somebody could have made it. I really don't know. Probably didn't know the dimensions of the body too well, whoever did make it.
All right, June 28th, Renegade Wrestling Entertainment's Night of Champions in Oklahoma City, defending the RW Tag Team Championships against the International Fight Club. You guys been kind of unstoppable in RWE. Is that train going to keep on rolling?
Hey, look, we're going up there doing what we do best, and that is putting straps up to win, and nobody's done it yet. So I'm going to go up there with the same mentality I go to with every single company, and that is show up, show out, get remembered, win gold, and go home.
Gotta keep them coming. 3 titles. It's getting heavy for you.
You're right. I mean, you don't think about it really, in all honesty. You don't think about it until you've got 3 titles, and you're like, man, I gotta carry these things now. I need a whole separate gear bag.
All right, let's see. July 4th and 5th, you're in Sondheimer, Louisiana for a wrestling convention. You like doing those conventions?
I do. I'm a big, huge fan, like I said, of giving back to the people. You know, I am before I joined the wrestling world in ring. I am a fan. I'm one of those people that spent their hard-earned money time and time again. Maybe it'd be the last little bit of money I had, but I spent it on a ticket to come watch some guys throw each other around, and to be able to finally be on the other side of that table and give back to those same type of people. It makes me extremely happy that I am in the position I am in, and it makes me not take it for granted. A lot of people lose sight of where they come from when it comes to how praised they are for what they do. They lose sight of who they are or where they started. You know, but
Yeah.
now that I'm in the position I'm in, I love talking to kids, man, and talking to all these people and really inspiring folks, and especially from around here, these small towns and stuff like that, that don't think that it's even a possibility to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
If you don't work in the oil field, or you don't drive a truck, or like an 18-wheeler or a log truck or something like that, then you're not finding work. You're not going to be on TV. You're not going to be a writer. You're not going to be an artist. That stuff doesn't happen around here, and I like to be that flip side of the coin to show them that you can be anything you want to be, man. The world's at your fingertips, bro. If you want it bad enough.
Yeah. Love that, man. Love that. What's something now you wish you knew when you first started?
Listen more. Period.
Yeah.
Period. As much as you think you know nothing. Everything that you learn, there's no cap. You will never, ever, ever quit learning. Every time you go into a locker room, you hear these vets, whether they've been on TV or whether they just are local vets or whatever the case. Every time you go into a locker room, instead of talking about the things you've done, sit back and listen to the things you haven't.
The day you stop learning is the day you stop getting better.
The day you stop learning is the day you need to hang up your boots, man.
Yeah.
Because every single person in the wrestling world, I don't care if you've got the same exact match, the same exact gimmick, the same exact style, there's always, 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 always somebody that can teach you something somewhere that sees your vision, sees your match or your work or your story or whatever, sees it in a different angle than you do. My vision may not be like yours, and your vision may not be like mine. It doesn't make mine wrong. It doesn't make yours wrong. It just makes us unique. It makes us different. It makes us work together to build an ultimate idea or story or whatever. Nobody. I don't look at anybody giving me, whether I do good or bad or whatever. When people get mad that folks, they say talk down to them or talk about how bad they done it. Everything in this world is okay if you take it as constructive criticism. I'm gonna mess up. That's a fact. I'm human. I'm gonna mess up. I'm gonna have great matches. I'm gonna have crappy matches. I'm gonna have good days. I'm gonna have bad days. But the fact of the matter is I'm having days. I'm getting the opportunity to get better. I'm having the opportunity to have a better day than I had yesterday. And I'm never, ever, ever gonna take that for granted.
Love that too, man. Before I let you go, stranded on the desert island, you can only bring 3 things. What are they?
A knife, some good water, and my wife.
Oh, that's so sweet. Most people
She'd
would get
probably
away
be
great.
mad because she don't want to be on an island stranded. But what's mine is yours, baby. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Now, go ahead and let the people know, where can they find you at?
Well, Rika Wildlee official on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, you name it, I got it. And I'm gonna leave you with this here. I always end the podcast with a little bit of carnival-esque wisdom, but I'm gonna swap it up today. I want you guys to always, whether you're in the wrestling world or not, I want you to always push for positivity, okay? I want you to push for positivity, and if you see somebody going through some troubling times, be that shoulder to lean on, be that ear to listen. You don't have to fix their problems. Just let them know that you're there if they need you, because one day you're going to have a troubling day or go through some things, and you're going to need that same positive push or good vibe or shoulder to lean on or ear to listen in your troubled days. So be there for somebody else. Pay that positivity forward. That's the only way that we're going to make this world go round and continue to have good days. So be that person for somebody else. You really never know how much it may mean to someone. That's all I'm saying.
I love that, man. Love that. Go follow him. Go check him out. Watch and spend some more words of wisdom. Rika, man, appreciate you coming on, man. You're an
you.
awesome ass dude, man. And you deserve the world, man.
I
Everyone have a
appreciate
good.
it.
Absolutely. Everybody have a good night.